In their first 39 games, the Boston Celtics went 18-21. In the remainder of the season, the Celtics won a blazing 33 of their last 43 games. In those last 43, the Celtics were ranked first in defense and second in offense, very much different from the 7th best defense and 22nd best offense in the first 39. This team, as we know, would end up in the finals, but how did this happen? It's not like there were any major injuries on any players at the beginning of the season and then the team got healthy, nor did this team make any mid-season trades for any big-time players. However, as we'll see in this video, small changes such as swapping a couple personnel as well as minor changes in the players helped propel this team to be one of the very best in the 2022 NBA season. We can see that throughout the entire season, the Celtics were always a good defensive team, but how did they become an elite one? It all started with Derek White replacing Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder, because of his size, is a defensive liability, but what makes it even worse is that his awareness on the defensive side isn't very good either. For example, on the top of the key pick and roll, many teams usually have the lowest man on the two-player side help or at least roam closer to the paint, like Iguodala does here. However, Schroeder in this clip on opening night doesn't do that. He should at least be by the block, specifically because he's guarding a streaky, below-average shooter in RJ Barrett. Schroeder in general isn't very aware off ball. Here he's caught ball watching and loses track of Shake Milton, which leads to an open 3. He's not very smart either, gambling and doubling here for no reason, and it's an easy cut leading to good offense at the hoop. The on-ball defense isn't much better. Derrick Rose gets Schroeder on a switch and quickly takes him to the rack for a floater. He does not offer much resistance to the basket. Gary Harris easily bullies Schroeder to the cup. Another reason why the defense wasn't as good was their lack of effort and spotty decision making at that side of the ball. For example, there's absolutely no effort here from Grant or Brown here on this pick and roll, and it gives Kemba a great look. Here, Tatum lingers off a solid shooter in Vassell, and at the same time Brown chains off his man, which makes sense because it's Derek White. But Brown should see that Tatum is there and he should be ready to be in scramble mode. In transition, the Celtics are in very good position with no cross matches, but Grant gets blown by and there's no help even though there are inconsistent shooters out there. Help in general is questionable. It's clear at this moment that Grant is beat, but nobody does anything to help him out. On the other side of the ball, there is a lot of selfishness and isolation, which is generally a less efficient offense. This clip here is a great example. Jaylen Brown seems to be very impatient with the screen for Tatum and decides to take Drew Holiday out of all people off the dribble, but the play stops after a foul. Notice that Tatum here is very open. After a made free throw, Schroeder takes the ball up and decides to pass up on an attack-ready Jaylen Brown, who at this point has 50 points. Schroeder is walled off and finally gets the ball to Brown in attack, and it leads to a kick-out 3, which drops. We get to see the good and bad of isolation here, as it leads to a very stagnant and predictable attack, but at the same time can lead to great looks in their right hands. Also, listen to what the Celtics announcer has to say.
Al Horford, who's been watching the game for a while.
That's not a good sign when the announcer says that. Next, Jaylen Brown is isolated on the low block and is even about to get doubled, but he nicely counters and hits a tough fadeaway. However, if we rewind this clip, there's a really good lob opportunity to Rob Williams. Marcus Smart has a bunch of space to tech a closeout, and Brown can even be creative and pretend to be looking at a lob for Williams, but sneak it into a corner for a great shooter in Peyton Pritchard. On this play, Jason Tatum drives it, and you can really see that his intent is to score by his head positioning, which when he spins means he can't see Holiday coming at him and he's not able to hit the wide open man. These turnovers lead to great offense in transition, and even after a great recovery by Rob Williams, the Bucks still get a wide open 3 because everyone is scrambling to get back. Also, notice how 3 of these 4 possessions resulted in good things for the Celtics. This goes to show why the Celtics weren't a terrible offense, but also not a great one. However, let's compare that to the offense that the Celtics displayed against the Warriors in the finals, which should relatively be the most refined version. In general, the offense still relied on drives and kicks, but it seems like there's a more willingness to pass an okay look in hopes of carving out better ones. There is also more off-ball movement. Here Derek White comes off a down screen, Tatum clears to the corner as Robert Williams cuts, and the threat of Tatum ends up pulling 2 defenders and this possession ends in a wide open dunk. Jason Tatum shows evidence of both these principles as he drives, dishes it into the corner, and relocates for an open 3. Tatum should get a lot of credit for turning this offense around because of his improvements as a passer. An element of good passing is anticipation. Remember how a lot of teams usually send help early in a high pick and roll? The The Warriors are known to do this, and Tatum knows that, so when he turns the corner off the screen, he's ready to look for his outlets and he finds an open corner 3 here. Another element of good passing is throwing it early. Tatum throws this when Williams is basically outside the paint, but throwing this any later would mean Wiggins can come and help out. Tatum throws it early here also when he sees Otto Porter stick to him. Taking another dribble most likely would have resulted in a turnover. This is important because less turnovers leads to less fast break opportunities for the other team, which shows why the Celtics went from 16th to 7th on the line points on the fast break, and this also contributes to their better defensive rating. But back to the Celtics offense, off the curl, Tatum throws a pass that looks really easy, but the timing of the pass is excellent, another element of great passing. He throws it the opposite direction of where the help defender is going, basically making help impossible for Poole here. Additionally, the post-ups seem to be used more, however this is most likely due to the Warriors' lack of size. This still does go to show that mismatch hunting is a focal part of the offense, but it was used better, as Marcus Smart throws a nice no-look dime here to Williams. In transition, Marcus Smart feeds Grant Williams in the paint, who has a smaller defender on him. Grant sees Poole coming to help, so he passes to a wide-open Derek White, who wisely swings it once more to Jaylen Brown. Here's a sign of the offense playing smarter. Instead of letting Tatum attack paint off the dribble on the perimeter, which is a horrible idea, the Celtics let Tatum get deep positioning against GP2, and it leads to a great look. Swinging to the defensive side, compare this defense by Derek White to Schroeder's defense, and you can easily see why Boston's defense improved. The length and great defenders were always there, it was just a matter of effort. Look at the effort here to get a stop against the Nets. Marcus Smart is glued to Kyrie, and even after Irving gets away from the double team, who's technically even open here? Kyrie continues to drive for space but finds none and has to pass it up to KD. The shot clock is now an extra defender, and Tatum's pressure causes Durant to miss a pass to an open Dragic, and Tatum contests the shot well. That's what we call a defensive clinic. In crunch time, where the Celtics desperately need a stop, Tatum shades Curry away from the screen. After Curry counters and comes off the screen, Horford quickly runs up with a hand up, causing Curry to pick up the ball, and this possession ends in a jump ball. Also, notice how important it was for Smart to already be in the paint ready to help when this pick and roll happened, so then he could disrupt this play. On this play, Williams gets blown by, but look at this recovery from Rob and also the help from Brown, which then leads to easy offense and can help boost the offensive rating. In conclusion, the Celtics from a player standpoint didn't really get that much better outside of the White-Schroeder swap. It's definitely going to be exciting how this defense plays since day one of the season, and it's also going to be exciting to see how additions of Brogdon and Gallinari help boost this offense. With that being said, don't be surprised if this team finds its way playing NBA basketball in June 2023.